Hi, Sweet Pea.
Hi, Mummy Bear.
Episode 15 of Good Ol Chit-Chats.
Hooray, we're here again.
And it is the man, the myth, the legend, Nigel Palfrey.
Yes.
From Gardener's World 2024, episode 21, so not that long ago.
We got him on a chit-chat.
We got him on a chit-chat because do you remember we were doing our usual recap of Gardener's World?
Yes.
For that episode, and I looked up about Nigel and found very, very, very little online.
Nothing, practically nothing.
Practically nothing, and we said we must get him on a good old chit-chat. And
Yep.
It took a little persuasion.
It did.
And I'm so glad
You're very persuasive.
Came on. But what a laugh we had with Nigel. Now, we have to set the scene. We talked for hours.
Absolutely
Nigel
hours.
is fascinating, and he has
stories, but
more
Lord.
stories than you can imagine.
Yeah.
To the extent that I did have to cut a lot out, and it's made me think I should probably do some cutting room floor type bites from some of these chit-chats, because there's often so much that we talk about and we can't fit it all into a sort of a respectable window.
Yep.
One of the stories, for example, is when he was saying how he got 54 stitches in his hand and hightailing it to A&E with that level. Do you remember? And he talked about the level crossing, clipping the top of the car as they went.
Yes.
So that's the sort of thing, the treat that you're in for with this one.
All sorts of stories.
And he has wonderful memories, and we do feel, and I think we said this to him as well, that we're going to set up a petition to get him to write a book.
Yeah,
because
I think he should.
He has just magnificent stories in a very sort of poetic way of telling them. He really sets the scene beautifully.
He does. When we were chatting to him, I could picture it. Yeah. It was like reading when you read a book, you can really picture everything.
Exactly.
If it's a good book, if it's well written, he can do that.
Yeah. So, some noises from this one. There were 3 dogs involved this time. He, at his end, had McDuffie and Rufus.
Oh, so sweet.
And we had Hobbs. So, all of them had a little something to say.
Yeah.
We also find out that Nigel's a bit of a Disney princess with all his wildlife around him. So, we hear about loads and loads of wildlife in his garden.
It's like Snow White.
Yeah. And we also briefly meet Jerry. In fact, not briefly. Jerry was instrumental in setting this up.
Instrumental. Like, if there wasn't Jerry, there wouldn't have been this podcast.
Jerry was amazing. So Jerry is Nigel's wife.
Yep.
And she helped with all the tech side of things. And at one point she said, after she'd finally got it all set up, his end, she said, you see, if you want a job done, ask a woman to do it. Or 3 women in this case.
Yes.
And Nigel just sat there with a benign grin on his face.
Yeah, just behind, just going, oh, what's going on there? So the usual dream garden structure is garden boundary, shed or greenhouse, 5 ornamentals, 5 edibles, 1 statement tree, pond or pool plus 1 plant, and then finally favourite seating area plus drink plus 1 plant. There we go.
Okay, that one was in one breath.
That was in one breath.
I'm not sure how good this is for your health, so maybe breathe at some point.
Maybe breathe.
And you mentioned ornamentals, and Nigel did ask up front if he could have ornamentals other than plant ornamentals. So we
actual
hear
ornamentals.
Some interesting things in that segment.
Yeah, that's really cool.
But otherwise we hear a lot about the Quantock Hills, near where he lives.
Yeah.
And we touch a little bit on the crinkle crankle.
We do, actually.
But apart from that, we're covering everything else in his garden and more.
Yeah.
So let's have a listen. This is a good old chit-chat with Nigel Palfrey.
Let's go.
Welcome, Nigel, to Good Old Chit-Chat.
Well, at long last, I'm speaking to you.
At long last.
Yeah,
We had 1 or 2 technical issues.
1 or 2.
Yeah, typical for me.
But we got there in the end. We first came across you in episode 21 of Gardener's World, so that was only a few weeks ago, and I think probably most people will be familiar with you, not just your startling good looks, but also your crinkle crankle folly.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of other things going on in your garden that Sweet Pea and I were really interested in, so hopefully we're going to get to touch on those.
Yes, no, I'm pleased you said that because the crinkle crankle, I'm doing another one, by the way, elsewhere in the garden. But
oh, right.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
I was...
One's not enough.
Well, I've got more than one anyway, bits and pieces and fake stuff. Well, I've had so many people, even recently, but over the years, they've always said, every time we walk round here, we see something different, and we could stay the day. Well, that's part of the garden.
So your garden's been in the family for a couple of 100 years, is that right?
About, and now I'm the last one. So there we are, but that's life.
Yeah, that's sad.
I've known this village all my life. I was not born here. I was born in Kent. So I consider myself really a Kent person, a rural Kent person. But I was fascinated when we came down here to live. It was a holiday home, actually. My father, he led a most strange life, to say the least. You could write a book on that. But we'll keep off that. We'll keep away from that. The Crinkle Crankle Folly, by the way, will last for at least the next 50 years. The timber, the youngest timbers, the branches, are about 30 years. Some of the branches, and as in horticulture, you've always got to remember there's a contradiction. So it's like us, we're living and dying at the same time. But in the Crinkle Crankle Folly, some of the branches are the same size as 30-year-old things, often heavier, it's true, but still the same size, and they can be 100 years of age.
Whoa, okay.
A lot of the timber I used was from 50 to 100 years. The big stuff, the trunks, which you never saw and took 3 people to lift.
No.
They are 150 years.
Wow.
And there's one piece of yew, which is 500 years, which the cameras never saw.
Where did you find that?
Well, I helped in the churchyard the other day. Everybody's amazement. I climbed a tree with a chainsaw. At my age, they said, you're too old, which is nonsense. You're never too old. And I was removing dead stuff out of this ancient tree in a village nearby in the churchyard. And I took the bark, which has fallen onto the floor, a massive piece. Now, that bark in the Crinkle Crankle, which you didn't see, that would be, 500? Could be 1,000 years.
Whoa.
It's impossible to know. But anyway, that'll see me out as
Amazing.
well.
Yeah. So you've been gathering these bits of wood. You're going to continue gathering wood to make another folly.
I've got all the wood now, to Jerry's relief.
Yes.
Yeah, because every time I turned up in a car or the trailer, it was, another piece. I thought you'd finished.
How nice,
another
dear.
One.
She's hoping for diamond rings, and she just gets a bootload of wood.
It's with the trailer, and I did burn a clutch out because I was stupid. I knew I was burning it out, but that was expensive.
Oof.
When I started, there was a shed, and the roof was falling down, and I suddenly thought, I'm too old to repair this. I'll start again from roof, afresh. It's not worth repairing the old roof. And anyway, what you saw, it's four deep in the main of Crinkle Crankle, in branches, pieces of wood, at least 4 deep. It does sit on stone pillars, which were there beforehand. I had help with the roof and the really big things, and I suddenly realised I've got to the age, and it was in 2023, gosh, I can't use the drills and push the stuff up into the roof with wire screws. I had help for that, but otherwise I got on with it myself. But it came as a bit of a shock when I realised I wasn't as fit as I used to be a few years ago.
Yeah. The Crinkle Crankle Folly that we saw used to be a barn. The roof was decrepit, so you replaced the roof and then you've screwed the branches into the roof. Is that right?
Yes.
Right.
But although it's got a tiled roof, as you saw, it's got cloisters. That's the steps down. And one thing that I was a bit disappointed, it wasn't said, when you walk down the steps and down through beside the Crinkle Crankle, it's a tunnel, one of the tunnels, you saw white dots, or dashes and dots actually, on the paving. Well, that actually is Morse code. Yes, brilliant. For CCF, Crinkle Crankle Folly.
Oh,
now, why
lovely. Crinkle, I love that.
Now, I thought it was brilliant. Now, I know it's right because an ex-GCH person, he used to use Morse code, and I checked it out with him that it was right. Now, the reason we did it, actually, is people would come, look at the folly, and walk forward and fall over the first step. because they say, "Oh, look at that," So when it happened the second time with a different person, I thought, I've got to do something about this. And that's really why I put the dots and dashes there.
Is that stopping people from falling down the stairs?
Yes, it draws the eye down, you see, not just forward to, oh, look at that. When the young children came, I asked them what they thought. This is very early on. What do you think of this? Do you think it's going to be okay? And the first words from 5 different girls from 2 different families, all of them said, cool.
Cool.
The new word for okay. People, I have 2 entrances. It sounds grand, but there are 2 entrances. And one of the entrances, the lower one, it's a small, narrow, private lane with a public footpath. So, of course, when people come up through the lane, I often have a chat because I can look down and see them. I might wave to somebody, people who, total strangers. Once COVID lockdown stopped, the number of people used to come out walking, and I did my bit. At the entrance, I was selling, stunning plants from a nearby empty garden that had been, the gardeners had lived there for 60 years, and they were top-notch gardeners. The stuff that was left before the redevelopment started, I was allowed to take. So I was selling massive plants for 50p a pound, anything. And at the same time, people were coming up and buying them. Word got around very rapidly. It went all over the country, some of the plants and bulbs.
Wow.
But I'd often say to people, come in, have a look. And they invariably would go out smiling. So that was my anti-COVID bit.
Lovely.
Come on, cheer everybody
Keeping
up.
everyone happy.
Yeah. It was quite surprising.
What else is there in your garden that we didn't see on Gardener's World?
Oh, at least 50% of it. If I'm honest, I did expect it. I think they were quite bemused with what's in here. It's not a junkyard. It's not a salvage yard.
No.
But it's full of objects and interest.
Yeah.
Deliberately. That I've collected over my lifetime. So you have a gazebo, a tool shed, a barn with granary steps. You've got a small pond.
Wow.
The gazebo is 6-sided.
That's
then
cool.
You've got Badger's summer house. And beneath Badger's summer house is a pot shed, a potting shed, a dungeon, because there are no windows. Then you've got crinkle. Then you've got the carport. So there was quite a bit.
Wow.
A lot is going on. Because you mentioned you've got a lot of garden rooms.
Oh, everywhere. And of course, the more seats you've got, the less you sit down. So there's seats everywhere, stone, wood, timber and metal. They're not used that much.
Oh, fantastic. Does Jerry get involved with any of the gardening, or is it mostly
she calls me a perfectionist. I am most certainly not. And also she gets very irritated with me because I said, she's excellent for sweeping up, but no, she doesn't. She doesn't want to. I told her once she wasn't planted a box hedge in a straight line, so she called me a control freak, and that was it. She never really helped after that, but she's wonderful. She's absolutely wonderful. She's very good with the brush, but she is distinctly not welcome when I see her with a pair of pruners in her hand or something else.
Stay away.
Yeah, she puts up with me.
So it is definitely Nigel's domain.
Yours.
Well, I think we should get cracking with your dream garden, and I'm sure we're going to hear lots of interesting things from you. So I'm going to hand you over to Sweet Pea, and she's going to take you through it.
Right, Nigel, to start your dream garden, what would be your garden boundary?
Right, there are 4 points, north, south, east and west.
Yes.
I've written it down. What it is, it's a strange shape, but if you can imagine an L shape, but put it the wrong way round.
Okay.
So the crooked north boundary has a front drive access, and it's between high stone walls. There's about 200 ton of stone coming down to the front, and it's of many different local stones, because Somerset is absolutely remarkable for the variety of sandstone, siltstones, sediment stone and limestone. So that's quite remarkable.
Wow.
And they're about 8 foot high as you come down. In the bottom, in these hostile conditions, at the bottom of the walls, I've got all the different sorts of bulbs, wildflowers, polytria of the wall, hart's tongue fern, polygonum, hedge mustard. Now, most of it will be small, and Vinca major is acting like Vinca minor because it's such hostile conditions, poor soil, dry.
Yeah.
But this time of year, of course, it's the cyclamen, the cyclamen coon.
Oh, lovely.
Different, the white, the pink, and the yellow.
Yes.
And they're lovely.
Very
and
nice.
And then, of course, all the walls. I gave up counting how many holes in walls. At least 500. And there's about 400 tons of stone in the house and the walls.
That's an enormous amount.
There's hundreds and hundreds of holes for newts, insects, beetles,
that's
birds,
yes.
frogs and toads. I've got special ones. I talk to them quite often when we pass by. And the dogs, obviously, know that they've got to keep their noses out of certain holes. So that's the north boundary.
It's a beautiful bug hotel in your wall. All those nooks.
Yeah, yes, everywhere. There's 500 nest boxes around the garden. Now they can be either in the walls, I just got fed up with counting after a time.
I can imagine.
I did do it deliberately, but I didn't do it for numbers. It was just, I wanted owls. I've got them. Tawny owls, jackdaws, spotted flycatcher, robin, wren, all of it, everything. And then, of course, you've got to make provision for toads and frogs and newts. At the moment, in one of the boxes, and they are actually a bit of a nuisance, I've got hornets.
Oh, okay.
The noise, especially at night, from this particular nest, but they're pretty harmless.
So, Nigel, for your dream garden, so this is you picturing your dream garden where you've got no restrictions. It can be anywhere in the world. You can have anything in the world in your dream garden. Are you saying you'd like your boundaries of your dream garden to be exactly how you have it set up at home?
No.
Is there anything you'd change?
No, we're never
satisfied.
I'm quite happy to have a square garden rather than the L shape.
Yeah. Well, with the dream garden boundary, if you had a square garden, because that would make life easier, would you be saying that the north face you'd have this dry stone wall with lots of holes in it for the wildlife?
Oh, yes. Yes, because on a north wall, there's always contradictions in horticulture. So on a north wall, north facing, it's cold.
Yes.
You don't necessarily get much growing up there.
No.
Ivy, for argument's sake, will tolerate it.
Yes.
But on the other side of the wall, that would be, for argument's sake, south-facing. Then, of course, it's very sheltered. And that's where you tend to put your holes much more.
Okay.
I saw that doing a lot of restoration work, 17th, 18th century gardens. I used to have a small business doing lime, mortar, stone repairs. And that's when you saw what the old people had done. Now, I talk old people, the ancestors, years and years and years ago.
Yes,
sure.
The ancestors, that's how we...
Yeah, 17th, 18th century. And my gosh, their knowledge, inbuilt. And the thing is that I always marvelled at, there were very, very few that had GCEs, O-levels, went to university. Many that couldn't read or write. But their skill, their ability, their mathematical skill was, superb.
Yeah.
Now, on my joining the north, I've got an east boundary. It's a straight line. It's right down beside a field, a permanent pasture grass field, which is quite nice. And the field is planted with thorn, sloe, holly, every tree, like the cherry, the wild cherry, the ash, and the beech and the hornbeam, they've all got bird boxes.
Yeah.
There are tawny owls. The jackdaws have taken over. There's at least 9 breeding pairs there. And then, of course, you've got goldfinch, greenfinch, chaffinch and bullfinch in the hedgerow moor, and thrush and blackbird.
Incredible.
So that's on the east boundary.
Are you keen on, because for example, I know that when I go to my grandfather's, we will sit at the kitchen table with binoculars watching the bird table and we will go through every bird that we see on that bird table. Do you do that at home?
Yes. Then I've got a very good friend who's a Somerset Ornithological member, as I am now, and he's not a twitcher. He's not a twitcher, but he's coming near to it. I often go out with him. We do. Somerset is remarkable for a wealth of different habitats. High up on the Quantocks, Exmoor, down on the moor, down on the flatland, which is not moor, seashore. Absolutely remarkable. And just above me, they're ploughing up an old grass field, and in the field there were 100 buzzards.
Whoa!
None of them honey buzzards, all local.
Yeah.
And then I saw what I call a gathering of ravens. There were 2 groups of 20, and they've come down from the higher Quantocks at the moment for easy pickings. And I actually saw a goshawk.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. So I have a question, Nigel. You said you're a member of the Somerset Ornithological Society, but you're not a twitcher. What's the difference? What is a twitcher?
Well, they're a bit, rattle on.
Bit obsessive.
Frankly, it gets a bit boring. Too intense. I don't want to be too intense, although some people think I'm a bit.
So you're not one of the boring
over
ones.
the top.
No.
So I'm fascinated.
So we've got your north, east, and south facing boundaries. What do you have on your west boundary?
No, we haven't got the south one.
The south is a straight line, and it's bounding the very, very narrow lane. And I've named my house after the name, Bowis. It's an old drover's route. Now, when I said drover's route, the drovers from Ireland and Wales would come in overnight and store their cattle in the field where my house is now sitting, and stay in the Rose Inn, which actually was called the Rose and Crown Inn, and now it's called Rose Cottage, which I no longer own. Anyway, that's the boundary, and it's also a public footpath, so that's why I get a number of people, those that come on holiday, and then all of a sudden they're in my little bit of garden.
Because I can have a chat with you over the fence.
And Jerry yet again, she'll often tell people, it's amazing how many times I look out the window and see Nigel talking to total strangers, all wandering around, hearing them roaring with laughter and things like that. And she said, at least once a week, 3 or 4 times a week. And we have total strangers in constantly, which is rather nice. A garden's to be shared.
Yeah.
And the west boundary, it's partially fence line, timber fence, and partially wall, and it joins the north. And that's where the barn sits, with granary steps and granary.
Right. Now, would you have a shed or a greenhouse?
Right. Well, I have got a greenhouse. It's tiny. No, always sheds for me, because you can do so much more in a shed. But when I mean a shed, I mean, yes, of course, a lovely small, little tiny, say, 6x6, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's still a shed. But personally, I like large sheds. And I have the perfect one. It's going to have a tall shed with a barn, a large barn, open fronted. And it's where I can clean, where I can do, I don't do welding, but where I can get welding done, where I can do carving, chainsawing.
Yeah.
Because one of the things I've always done all my life, and it's taken up a lot of my time, is timber. Now, I like using timber, but when I say timber, chainsaws, logs, a fire in winter, I'm a dinosaur. I love
it's so nice.
Logs and a fire. With a dog down beside you.
You're not a dinosaur. It's so lovely.
We're dinosaurs as well, because we love that.
Exactly.
So, there's something in the human psyche that needs a fire.
Do you have a fire pit in the garden, Nigel?
Oh, yes. I'll tell you more about that. in my
A bit later on.
in my other one. Yes, do it. Most important.
I'll look forward to it.
And you can sort of cook a meal on it. Well, I better tell you, I suppose, in case I forget. Now, next to my pergola, I should say, is now my gazebo, which is enclosed. It was open at one time, and you could gaze down towards the cottages. That's why it was called a gazebo. But in it, you did see it on television. You saw the front of it with the circular pillars.
Yes.
And I have a fire. It's got an alcove above it, where I told Geraldine I'm going to get a fire in there. She wasn't too keen. And I said, well, I'll cook you a meal on it. So that was it. It changed her mind. But what the meal was baked potatoes in foil with cheese.
Oh, that's the best thing ever.
So she wasn't too impressed
they're amazing.
with
they are the
nice
best.
meal.
Did you put loads and loads of butter in them?
Oh, yes, lovely. And the fire itself is sprayed in the colour called shimmering rose. So it's a lovely bright, it's a pinky red colour. And when they sprayed it, the men came in and sprayed it, and I said, well, it's black. I said, I'm black? And they said, yes, it'll change colour. And in half an hour it did. It's one of those remarkable things. But yes, so
would it change colour with the heat, or it just changed colour?
It just chemical reaction, and it changes colour on its own.
That is amazing.
Right.
Whereabouts would you like your tool shed barn to be in the garden? Do you want it near the north, south, west, east? Where would you like
Facing south. Facing south.
Right. Well, since you're now we're wanting to get onto the plants, very interesting. You have 5 ornamentals. What would be your first ornamental?
Right. My favourite. It's got to be, I think, euonymus, emerald and gold. This lovely emerald green. When the leaves are younger, they are emerald. When they're older, they're slightly darker. But you've got this buttercup yellow. It's not variegated. It has yellow parts and green parts. There is a problem with it. If the old rootstock gets too vigorous, it'll take over, and then you'll just have a plain colour.
So this is a hedging plant, is it?
Now, I'm just going to say, you can train it. You can have it as a hedge, a bit of an irregular hedge, it's true. But you can train it as more of an upright. At the moment, I've got, now I think it's Clematis flammula. That smells of almonds, and it covers it, absolutely smothers it in summer.
Oh, wow. Is this unanimous a north, south, west, east facing plant? What would it face?
It's a very tolerant plant, so less so brilliant. On the. Yeah, it really is, but it's less so on the north. But it certainly you can have it anywhere, and also with my second plant is Cotoneaster horizontalis. Now that will do anywhere. And it is best north-south, but I've actually got one in every position there is, or plants. Cotoneaster
Didn't you have this going over your fence or your gate or something?
Yes, I've got them growing up. Now, which Cotoneaster?
Because I made a note of that. Said to Sweetie, we need to get this in our garden.
Yes,
I can't remember
she
which
did, and
one.
we've made a shopping list.
It's where you saw Macduff, the Scotty, playing with Rufus, the golden retriever. Now,
yes, I remember that bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, Cotoneaster horizontalis. Now then, why do I like it? In the early spring, just before the flowers are coming, you're seeing queen wasps, queen hornets, and bumblebees. You'll also see honeybees, and they're taking what we call propolis. It's an antiseptic glue. It's in minute quantities, and they'll take it for building. Partly because it's antiseptic.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it really is. So I'm always there, and of course I've got a little pond fishing net. I don't want too many hornets, queens, or wasps. So I will get rid of some of them, but I always ensure that I've left 3 or 4. This year, thank goodness, we've not been inundated with wasps and hornets. Last year, I had 4 hornet nests, and they were a problem on 2 of them, I must say. Luckily, one
Yes.
died out because it was built in one of my nest boxes right by
They like nest
the
boxes,
gazebo
don't
that you saw. So the flowers obviously are wonderful. The berries are very good for mice and birds. A bit
Brilliant.
insignificant.
they? Yep.
And it's cover for all the year round. So if I sit,
That's what's amazing.
say, in this
Yeah.
sitting room, kitchen everywhere, you can watch the smaller birds. The hedge sparrow creeps around, the wren and the robin,
Yes.
to a lesser extent. The blue tits, grey tits, they're coming in right now for the aphids that are staying in there. And then, of course, at this time of year, I've just started the blackbirds, the thrush, and the wood
Yes.
pigeons. They're just starting to take the berries. Now, my third one is Prunus avium, the wild cherry. Springtime flowers. Now, I planted mine. One is about 60 years, so it's come to the end of its life. They're not long
crikey.
lived in the hole. They will go to 100.
No, that's not long, is it?
Not really, but it is the wild cherry. They'll go to about 100 years, but in this part of the West Country, they usually are attacked. They'll become hollow. Honey fungus will certainly attack them. That's an age-old thing. It's nothing new. So springtime flowers, and they're so dense. I've got quite a few of them. They'll block gutters, but they're wonderful for insects.
Oh, okay.
Right.
And of course, it's a harbinger of warmer days. You see the flowers and you think, yes,
It's an early flower,
so
isn't
nice.
it?
Yeah.
It springs around
Exactly.
the
It's
corner.
all just like
Yes.
popping into colour, getting ready for the summer.
That's a lovely third choice.
I would love to be able to show you. I've got a bucket full of nuts because the birds like the fruit, insects like the fruit. Now I'm talking about the outside. The stone inside is stored. Now I can anywhere around this garden, if I move a pot or say a group of tiles that is down in my chicken shed with spare tiles, roofing tiles, if I lift them, I can be assured there'll be a massive store of cherry stones.
Oh, brilliant!
And you know
Really?
what?
And who's doing that?
Everywhere. The pictures I've got of the 80-odd thousand pictures of you name what from my travels over the years, you can bet I've got at least 20 or 30 totally different places where I find long-tailed field mice have stored them. Now, one bucket.
Oh, how sweet.
You know where you get those fat balls? You can go into a supermarket or a garden centre and you can get a tub of fat balls. Well, I've got an empty tub that's half full with eaten cherry stones. There's one little tiny hole in every one. And when I lifted an old oak stump from the garden, there were just masses and masses, and there was so much there. I thought, this is worth a picture. And of course, I've stored them. I've had it for years. So
that's such a lovely
that's why
story.
I like Prunus avium.
What would be your fourth?
Is a 100-year-old cast iron pig trough. It's about 4 foot in length. It's all in one piece. It's about 8 to 9 inches wide, and it's V-shaped. It came from East Sussex. Before it was just about to be driven over by a bulldozer. This beautiful old cottage with a barn owl had just been displaced. So much for conservation. And they were just driving over the rest of it. I saw it and stopped the driver, and we loaded it into my car.
Brilliant.
It fitted. You've got like an estate.
Great find.
I do not want an ordinary car. Exactly. I need an estate car. I remember once in Essex, I took all the seats out and went to my old home in Kent, and there were no seats except the driving seats, and I filled it up with apples of various different types, and I think I made about 80 gallons of apple and crab apple wine. Stupid. Yeah.
That is amazing.
Bit of a stupid thing.
So, Nigel, this cast iron pig trough, are you going to be using it as a water butt or as a planter? What are you going to use?
Well, sometimes it's used as a water butt. A small watering can is dipped into it for any of the plants in pots nearby, but essentially it's for the dogs.
For the dogs.
One end there's a brick, and I call it George's brick. because many, many years ago we had a Scottie called George. We've had quite a few actually, but George always wanted this brick to stand on, so that he'd get his head over into the trough and have a nice drink. So Isla uses it now, and you saw Isla going down she's a Scottie.
Yes.
You saw her down past the Morse code steps.
Yes.
Macduff,
Yeah.
or Duffy, he sometimes uses it, but he quite prefers to do what Big Boy does, Rufus. He puts his paws up on the edge and leans in, sometimes slips in, but he doesn't worry. But within that trough, there's moss on the insides and top, and lichens. About 3 times a year I empty it out, and it usually fills up with rainwater, because that's better for dogs than tap water.
Yes.
But I will fill it up. And occasionally, I haven't had any this year, it's true, but normally I can get frogs or toads, especially in the summer, and they'll stay in there.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's nice.
Your 5th ornamental, what would that be?
Well, in 2 Chinese egg pots, I've got about 50 year of age, and they're 10 foot high, Pinus nigra nigra. That's black pine.
Oh, wow.
But I've had it about 50 years. They're 2 needle, because pines can have 1 needle, 2 needle, 3 needle, 4 or 5.
Okay.
They're all different. But anyway,
What is
black
that?
pine.
Is that the amount of needles that's on each kind of area?
In each cluster can have 1 or 2, like Scots pine.
Okay.
Most of the pines you see will have 2, but some can have 5. This one has 2, and it's black. It's a dirty colour, whereas Scots pine, really, when it's older, you only see it properly. It's this golden, lovely golden colour.
Oh, yeah.
Younger Scots pine don't tend to have it, but black pine is invariably darker. It just so happens I had these 2 spare, so I put them in. The trunks are covered in lichen and moss, and also, as a warning sign, they've got lichen and moss on some of the branches. That's because they're getting pot bound and getting starved.
Okay.
I understood that lichen was a sign that you've got good air quality.
That is meant to be really good.
And it's quite true. That's quite true. If I go 100 foot up above, the lichen is vastly superior than down here. And if I go down into Taunton, which is 150 feet below me in the valley,
got none.
Very little. Only those that can tolerate pollution.
Yeah.
Crikey. So now we're going to go on to the edible plants. What would be your first one?
Watercress.
Watercress.
I can't think of the proper name of it, but anyway, watercress, what you buy. Now, as a boy, I used to grow it from a spring used to place up at a place called Buncombe Waters. And as a boy, I had my own little private spring growing out from the edge of a field on the hillside. And this lovely, lovely spring used to bubble out. And I used to clean a small amount. There was no silt as such. It was just like silt stone and shelly type stuff. There were no sheep, and so there was no cattle, because you can get liver fluke with sheep or cattle.
That is scary.
And I've only ever... And if you do pick stuff and you're not too sure, you can always put it in salted water for half an hour.
Okay.
That would kill off anything.
Brilliant.
But they used to be freshwater shrimps, or however they got in there, I don't know. Because
how did they get in there?
Spring, after a short length, used to disappear back into the ground again and come out further down the hillside. But I used to cultivate, sow the seed, and or divide the plants, and I used to regularly, until the hard frosts killed it, I used to grow it. They're tiny brown seeds, but of course you can buy watercress, chuck it in water, and it does like running water, and it does not like tap water. You can grow it on.
Oh, okay.
And when the water comes like borehole water, as you would find in watercress beds, that's a couple of degrees above freezing, a couple of degrees above any surface water.
Yes.
And anything below 2 degrees, watercress will succumb to frost. But I've got a little story. Can I quickly tell you? Just to
I want
say,
to know the story.
Yes,
Absolutely.
well, there's 2 stories in one, really. One variety named after a favourite horse. It's quite peppery and it's called Genie.
Oh.
And it's a watercress, as I say, it's quite peppery, because watercress does vary. It can be more resistant to frost, it can be very leafy, it can be a bit more stunted, it can be more susceptible to yellow spot on the leaves,
Okay.
or other things.
Yeah.
It's got more vitamin E in watercress as a bunch, has more vitamin C than, say, a small orange, and more vitamin E than a broccoli.
I have heard that.
And more
That is
calcium than a
amazing.
glass of milk. Now,
Wow. It gives you everything.
Wonderful stuff.
yes, it's a wonderful thing. But one day, and this is the story, in February,
Yes.
many years ago, it was just getting dark. So I thought, right, I'll pop over to the spring. And I saw the clear water. And in the clear water, the shrimps were bumping past my fingers. And this is just getting dark. And I thought, it's magical. It's February.
Yeah.
It's a lovely, quite warm day. So as the shrimps were, freshwater shrimps, bumping past my fingers, and I was picking this watercress, I suddenly saw the surface ripples that my fingers were causing to form like silver lines on the glide.
Oh.
And I then became, as I looked upwards, a large silver disc just above my green patch where the spring was divided, and it was devoid of plants and 3 foot wide, just a flat area. And on it was this silver disc, and I couldn't understand.
Yeah.
What on earth
What
was
is
I
that?
looking at? It was surreal. So I stood upright and wondering momentarily, and then I looked up, and suddenly it was a full harvest moon. Oh, it's not a harvest moon, obviously, but it looked like a harvest
wow.
moon. But it was a silver moon. It was a
Yeah.
full moon, just like a harvest moon. It was utterly quiet, and the shadows on the bankside were intertwined with the light. And this scene is imprinted on my mind as 20 years ago, and
That
all
is amazing.
for watercress soup. Watercress soup mixed with potatoes,
Nigel, a
cream.
lovely story.
Oh, magic, magic,
I'm salivating
magic.
at the thought of watercress soup.
Oh, that's such a lovely story.
That's a beautiful story. You've got a very poetic way.
I was so lucky, and it's imprinted on my mind, which is one of the pluses in life. So when I'm old and really infirm, I can still remember it. I can still revisit it, and that's important in human life.
Oh, that is so lovely. Well, what's going to be your second edible plant?
Right, my second edible is going to be whortleberry.
Whortleberry.
Vaccinium myrtillus. They look like a large, or rather I should say a small, they can be large, but usually they're small, like black currants. And they're purple and black,
Okay.
and they've got a surface bloom. Now, years and years ago, people used to go up on the hills wort picking. This is a local thing. The dye is a fast dye that you get from the berries. In other words, once you've got it, it's a stain forever. So when you go whortleberry pickings, you wear old clothes and you do pick your spot, like any other type of fruit. You look where the best, in the different range of hills, is where the best area. Every year can vary. They're low growing, about 2 foot high. And I go up here at the Contox Hills, which is about 200 feet higher than the house at the moment. It's about a mile away. And I go July, and I go whortleberry picking. I try to do it every year. I can remember my family used to do it as a bit of always making fun of it. So you took a picnic and you picked. Now, nowadays, planes do fly overhead going into Bristol. It's a route, and you can see, which you've got mixed feelings, the massive amount of cranes for Hinkley Point from some of the high hills up
right.
here at the back.
Oh.
But when I remember it, it used to be total quiet. There'd be probably flies, could be a nuisance on a hot day, but it'd be totally quiet. You've had the ponies all round you. Some of them are exmoor, some are just the wild. And the deer, you get a lot of red deer. That was my memories.
So
but
is this the common bilberry? Is that another
bilberry,
name for it?
yes. And
bilberry. And so do you just eat them straight from the bush, or would you take them home to put in a recipe of any sort?
Yes, that's it. So in a good year, I can pick 7 pounds in an afternoon, and then whortleberry pie.
Whortleberry pie.
So,
Oh, wow.
with a thick pie crust and lashes of clotted cream. And the clotted cream has got to have a crust on it.
Yes.
In other words, the real cream.
Yes.
Or whortleberry jam.
Right.
Now, that used to be and is. Jerry made some this year, and it's got a delicious taste. It's very delicate, and it's more distinctive than black currants and nicer. But whortleberry jam with fresh bread, and then of course you can have it on scones, and clotted cream. Oh, magic! More magic! More magic.
Of course, Scottish cream. But tell me about the pie. So, is it just whortleberry that you have within the pie, or do you mix it with other berries?
No,
what do you do?
No, really, because such a delicate flavour, just as it is in a pie. No, you can have a flaky pastry or like a thicker pastry. I can't think of the proper name, but so
amazing.
That
sounds fantastic.
What would be your third edible?
Blackberries, which I've just picked. I've been up about 6 times. So blackberry time, end of August through now until September. Then they say the devil spits on them. But this year I picked about 30 pounds and over a 6-week period. Now then, blackberry jelly. Jerry's made some lovely pots this year. You have about 50% juice, which makes a jelly, and 50% waste. So jelly is really nice.
Oh, yummy.
Because then you have it with rice pudding, blackberry jelly and custard, that sort of thing. Or you can also have
clotted cream.
Yeah, and blackberry jam. Of course, you've got the pip, which I love it actually.
Yeah.
But then of course there's blackberry and apple pie, and clotted cream, double cream. Yeah.
You can't go wrong with those 2 flavours, can you?
What would be your 4th edible plant?
Salsify or scorzonea. Now it's called the oyster mushroom. It resembles a parsnip. It's only thinner. It improves with age. It's very, very distinct flavour, with butter and crunchy. Ooh, and you can harvest it between.
Sorry, Nigel. Did you say an oyster mushroom?
Yeah. No. Oyster vegetable. It's called. In other words, up there with oysters.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Well, salsify, and a very, very similar one is scorzonea. Now, I grow it also for the yellow flowers, about 4 or 5 feet high sometimes. The flowers, on the stem, they're quite remarkable.
Yes.
But essentially, it gets on with it. Sometimes I forget it. I grow it in pots. But it's lovely with butter. All the cholesterol, good stuff, that's good for you.
Right. Right, what's the 5th edible plant? The final one.
Apple.
Apple.
Now then, I'll tell you a little story.
Yes.
22 years ago, I went up to Hereford, near Hay-on-Wye actually, and I happened to go down into my mother's garden thinking, when we're up there, I'm just going up there for the weekend, I'll take up some of my mother's apples. And while I was there, in the next day, I'd left these apples in the car. I didn't realise I had at the time. Went into a place called Kington, and there was a agricultural show in Kington. Oh, what a magical place that was and is. And there was a person in one of the marquees displaying the Marcher Apple Company display of apples and other displays, and I heard this person talking. She caught my attention. So I said to her, I'll go and get a couple of apples in the car. And they weren't brilliant examples. And she looked at that. She said, I've never seen anything like that. And so she said, can you send us some cuttings? I left it for 2 years because I was too busy. And then I realised that the tree, that it was not looking well. And it was called grandfather's sheep's nose, because it's like the face of a border Leicester sheep, very, very wide and long pointed at the end, just like a border Leicester sheep. So anyway, 2 years later, I sent up these whips, long pieces, before the tree died. And now that was 22 years ago. This January, we had a call from the parish council, said, Nigel, this might be of interest to you. We think it's you. And it said, from the Marcher Apple Company, are there any Palfreys still left in Kingston? 22 years ago, they supplied us with samples, and we've now discovered that it has no known DNA, and it's going to go on the WW Fruit list of lost apples that have been rediscovered. And
no way!
So
That's
I was
incredible.
absolutely delighted. Now they said, what would you like to call it? So I didn't want my surname. I did want it to be the locality notified, so people in future will now know it as the called Sheep's Nose of Kingston. It's a bittersweet mid-season cooking apple.
So this is your apple?
Yes, my grandfather grew it, so it's called a top-worked apple because the stem was cut off about 4 foot high, and my grandfather grafted on what is Sheep's Nose of Kingston.
This is an incredible story.
2 years later, the tree died.
Wow.
After I took the samples up, the cuttings up to near Hay-on Wye, and they grew them on, and it's taken obviously all those years before it could fruit. They could test it. So it's called Sheep's Nose of Kingston, and the reason being is Kingston St Mary is the village, and it's well known for the cider apple Kingston Black, which is one of the famous cider apples. So now this village has the honour of having 2 apples named after the village. One a cider, one a mid-season dessert apple. Well, I won't say dessert, but you can eat the apples on the south side. So there we are.
What an absolutely fantastic story. That's so interesting.
I love that.
Now
So
then,
if you hadn't, so it's interesting that you had already delayed 2 years because you were too busy, and then you got those whips up to them 2 years prior to your tree dying. If you hadn't got those up, that would have been the end of it.
Yeah, yes, that's it.
That's
Completely
quite
lost.
something, isn't it?
Amazing.
So if nothing else, that's what I've left for the future.
Right, now, what would be your statement tree?
Elm.
Beautiful.
Elm. In one of the villages, very near to Lower Slaughter, where I happened to go up for a weekend, I stopped because coming up on a island, it was like a triangle area, there was this tree, and I instantly realised this stumpy, quite large, you'd need to put your arms around it 3 times, was this tree, which will still be there. I got out. Jerry got a bit miffed, but I made her get out as well. Look at it. Look at
Poor
this
Jerry,
tree.
she's always...
Yeah, we're always stopping.
I feel sorry for Jerry.
Jerry doesn't like walking with me because I'm always
poor
stopping
Jerry.
and looking at stones because I love stone.
Jerry just wants to
I
get
love
from A
timber.
to B, and Nigel likes to go from
Yeah.
A to B via all the other letters of the alphabet.
And I put my arms, after walking up to this tree, onto the little bit of green grass, and I put my arms around and hugged this lovely, lovely tree. And what I'd forgotten was
best feeling.
I was absolutely amazed that I couldn't remember, and then I did. The smell of old elm trees is so, so distinctive. So if you're ever there, go beside this tree. It weeps, obviously, elm does. wheat sap, which gives off that peculiar semi-pungent smell. I should think it's about 200 years of age. Because of the wildlife it supports, and many years ago I can remember it, but one of the reasons why I chose elm, in the top 10 in the country, one of the top 10 was 2 fields away growing a Hestercombe house. And I can remember seeing the stump. It was virtually nothing there, and this must have been the 1950s. I should think 3 men couldn't put their arms round it, but it was in the top 10 for size. It, by then, hadn't succumbed to Dutch elm disease. It had just succumbed to age, because many of the big trees were hollow, and if ever we get back there again, which won't be in my lifetime, but they'll come back again. So it's wonderful for butterflies and moths, and the winter moth overwinters in the bark. I actually had 2 disease-resistant elm. One of them is Ulmus Saparo Autumn Gold. It's a Japanese stroke hybrid. It's a lovely tree. I should think we've had it, 40 years, 50 years. And the other one is another disease-resistant. They both have a fault. This is plus and minus that I've been telling you about in horticulture, is that branches droop very, very rapidly. Now, all trees lose their branches. I don't say lose, they lower them slowly but surely. Gravity takes over everything. And that is a drawback. And then, of course, you've got logs, elm logs. Now, they can, if they're not dried properly, they will moulder. In other words, they don't burn properly. And they do, unless they're dried.
Not nice and dry.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
But the birds like elm for the twigs. They also like it for the early flowers, say the bullfinch, the chaffinch, and the pigeon, wood pigeon. Sometimes the doves. They like the twigs because they're semi-pliable for their nests. Now I say birds.
Yeah, they're nice and bendy.
Doves and wood pigeons sort of thing, even jackdaws. So that's why I prefer the elm of all.
Lovely.
Would you like a pond or a pool, and you get 1 plant for this area?
The pond, which is what I've always wanted, has a cast iron metal frame which came from a deconsecrated church in Essex, and it's the grill work from the footway of this deconsecrated church. It's all thrown in the skip. Well, now you can walk across some of them, and with a torch at night, it's absolutely wonderful what you can never see in daytime, because a torch will shine into the ground, into the water, and you can see what's going on in there, and you can learn an awful lot by that, and people don't realise it. And also, you're standing over the water on this walkway. But I actually built the walkway.
So you have this walkway going across the pond?
Right across.
Yeah.
And it's only a small pond, about 10 feet by 8, something like that. But it's difficult to know because I've got massive slabs of yellow hamstone, and they are big.
Yeah.
They overhang, and that's a reserve for winter or a refuge. So when I say winter, when it's really cold, stuff that wants to semi-hibernate or hibernate, or those that want to find refuge, not just from enemies, but from heat, from cold, from rain. So on 3 sides are slabs. But the walkway was actually built for my little Scotty called George. Many, many years ago. George was a Scotty, and he had short legs.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he was very friendly with my sister's dog that was a Skye Terrier. And she's, although very, very long, she's also got short legs. So it's an old marl pit, and the marl, which is subsoil, it's full of silica, and the old cottage in places is cob walls.
All right.
Yes.
And it comes from the marl pit.
Really nice. And what would be the plant in this pond? That if you could choose one plant, what would it be?
Yellow flags.
Great for all the damselflies and the dragonflies.
Yes.
Yes. Dragonflies actually, a certain type of dragonfly will nest. The eggs will be laid just below the water, and the what looks like a caterpillar will go inside the stem. I can't remember the name offhand of the dragonfly. We used to use them as children for fish bait.
All right.
when you found them. The flower is lovely, yellow, and then of course you've got the seed, those orangey red seeds. It's quite an untidy plant, but there's so much that goes on in amongst it, summer or winter.
Well, now I'd like to know what would be your favourite seating area with your ideal drink, and you have one plant for that area.
Right, now my favourite, I've actually got it, is the gazebo, which Jerry calls the gallery. You saw it on television. It's from the lawn. You can look out down onto the lawn. If you go through the far end canopy, which is the walkway, and you did see that on television, you got snapshots of it. So you go in through there. So it's got easy reclining chairs with lovely combination of fabric, quite old-fashioned. And so there's cushions and seats in those double chairs. Then there's just ordinary tables, a dog basket, and there's a bench. Then you've got the fire. Up above me, I've got all the different types of baskets, from trugs, wicker, willow, wicker work, all the other type, ash, obviously poplar, all the different type of baskets hanging up in the ceiling, and there's a massive beam going right the way through. I actually built that for the swallows, and they came in within a year. But of course, we've now this part of the village there's no swallows, so I can look out, and from there I can see the plant Edulis volubilis, and that's the plant that I really like. You've got this strange-looking vine-like plant that looks more like an ivy hanging on the inside, and of course because it's up in the canopy, it's resistant to frost and cold. It's semi-hardy, and a lot of things stay in there. I've on one occasion seen long-tailed field mouse come in from a fairly far away wild cherry with its cheeks puffed out. Because I'm so close to it while I'm sitting inside looking out, up in the canopy there's this long-tailed field mouse with its cheeks full of cherry stones going into its little store up in the roof.
Oh, sweet.
So there we are.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
That's fantastic.
And as you're sitting in this area, what would you like to be drinking? What would be your favourite drink?
Well, at the moment, probably a whiskey.
A whiskey.
Nice whiskey.
On the rocks?
No, it'll either be a single, but I'll also drown it in lemonade.
Whiskey and lemonade.
That stops me drinking too much.
Yeah.
Because you know what you're home. You might be by the log fire or whatever.
Or in your gazebo.
Who watches television nowadays? It's so bad. But to stop you, realising that you not only poured a treble, and you want another one.
Slippery
part
slope,
of the reason why
Nigel.
I drown it.
Well, that's fantastic.
That sounds lovely. I'm going to read back to you your dream garden, just in case there's anything you're not happy with. So, your garden boundary, we had the west boundary was a timber fence and wall joining the north. Your south boundary had a narrow lane, public footpath, so that you can chat to people, which also had a hedge on it. You wanted a square-shaped garden because it's easier to maintain. You had the east boundary was this straight line with this grass field beyond with thorns, sloe, holly, and then lots of different birds could be in there, tawny owls with bird boxes, thrush, blackbirds, and all of that a hedge. And then the north side was going to be this dry stone wall.
You forgot on the east boundary, I've got a lot of trees I planted 60 odd years ago.
Lots of trees.
Okay.
Well, we'll add that in there as well.
Yes. That's where the bird box is. Every tree has at least one bird box. And because it's mainly covered in ivy, the trees, you don't know.
Lovely. Then you wanted a tool shed with an upstairs area attached to a large open-fronted barn facing south. Then your 5 ornamentals we had unanimous, emerald and gold, cotoneaster horizontalis, wild cherry, 100-year-old cast iron pig, V-shaped trough, 2 Chinese egg pots with black pines in them. Then we had 5 edibles, watercress, whortleberry, blackberries, salsify, and apples. That was the sheep's know of Kingston. Then your statement tree was your elm tree. Then you wanted a pond, cast iron metal frame with a walkway across it and yellow flag irises. And then finally, your favourite seating area was your gazebo with easy reclining chairs with cushions, little tables, little fire as well. Edulis is the plant coming up in the canopy, and a whiskey with lemonade. Well, that was your dream garden.
How does that sound, Nigel?
Yeah. Similar to what I've got. Aren't I lucky?
Exactly.
Quite
Thank you
lucky.
very much.
Thank you very much, Nigel.
That's been a good old chit-chat with Nigel.
Righto. Are we finished?